Hello, amazing artists. Today I'm going to show you how to make this coil heart out of clay. Today we'll be making the coil heart with clay, and then in a few weeks we will be painting it with acrylic paint so it'll look like this. You get to decide if you want holes in your clay so that you can hang it up, or if you don't want holes, it would be displayed just flat like this. So think about what you might want. So this clay is not Play-Doh, so don't keep breaking it apart and playing with it like it's Play-Doh. Don't just keep playing with it, because when you play with it over and over again, what happens is little air bubbles will get inside, which is not good. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make coils to put around this heart stencil that I made for you. So you might need to just take a small piece. I like to start with my hand like this. Then you can roll it on your placemat. So you want your coil to be about the size of your pointer finger. Mine will be the size of my pinky because my pinky is the size of your pointer finger. So let me keep rolling it out. Looks a little too big still. Remember, you'll be using your pointer finger. If it gets too hard for you to work with when it gets this long, you could break it and work with smaller pieces, because sometimes when it gets longer, it's a little harder to work with.
This is what the kiln looks like on our campus. When you put clay in a kiln and cook it, it's called firing the clay because it gets so hot. Turn to your neighbor and tell them, how hot do you think it gets when we fire the clay? It's really important to follow directions, because if any air bubbles are inside your clay, what happens when it's being fired, the air bubbles will expand as it heats up, and it can cause your clay to crack or pop or blow up, which causes little shards to shoot out and hit all the other clay pieces next to it and break them. We will do our best to make sure none of them break, but sometimes it does happen.
Break. So now lay a piece of your coil on top of your heart. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to outline your heart. So let me do another piece. I'm going to start with my hand. Then I'm going to roll it on here. You might need to hold your cardboard still with one hand, and then you could start working with two hands. Now remember, you got to measure it. So you're going to use your pointer finger. I'm going to use my pinky finger. So first I'm going to outline my heart. Get another piece. If you run out of clay, that's okay. I have more. This one might be too big. So if it gets too long and too hard to work with, you could just break a little piece off. Measure it with your pointer finger. Again, I'm using my pinky. You don't want to use your pinky because then it'll be too small. You don't want the coils to be too small because then they'll be too delicate and they could break. All right, so now that I've outlined my heart, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start to make some spirals. So I recommend making all different size spirals. So maybe some of them will be bigger. So I'm going to start rolling it here, and I'll place it in my heart. Maybe you have a smaller one. That doesn't mean this piece is smaller. It just means it's shorter and the spiral is a little smaller. See how this one's smaller than that one? I'm going to put this on fast speed now while I finish. Once you get most of it filled in, then you're going to want to make some smaller spirals to fill in some of these larger spaces. So they don't need to be perfectly round. I could kind of squish it and make it a little more oval shape to fit in here. But then some of these smaller spaces, what you're going to do is you're going to make a small ball. Maybe about the size, a little bigger than a pea, smaller than a grape. And then there's some really small ones there, so I'm going to need to fill that in with an even smaller ball. Maybe that one will be the size of a pea. So I think I could maybe fit some really small spirals in there. Maybe just this big. I could fit some smaller spirals in there, and I'll probably put balls in all these other spots. Now, it doesn't have to be perfectly round. It could be more oval shaped. Maybe a really small spiral here. And then I think I'll probably fill the rest in with little balls. So I'll put that in high speed while I do that. All right, once you get to here, you need to look and see if there's any little spots showing. So maybe your spiral has a little opening in the middle like this one, so you can put a little ball in there. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to blend all of this together so that it holds all our spirals together and it won't fall apart. So I'm just making sure I have all those little spots filled in. And don't worry, this isn't what your design's going to look like. Because we're going to blend it, I recommend to start with the edge. Start with your edge and work your way in like this. Okay? Oh no, Mrs. A, but all my really pretty spirals I just worked on, they're all gone. No, that's what the back is going to look like. And then I'll help you flip it over and you'll still have your spirals on the other side, and then we'll paint it in a few classes. So work from the edge in, okay? You don't need to push super hard. You're just trying to blend a little bit. Notice how I'm working from the edge of the heart. So we want to blend all of those, so you won't see your spiral designs anymore. They're going to be on the other side. Don't push too hard because you don't want to flatten it out. So this part shouldn't take you too long. I'm going to do it kind of quick. I'm working from the edge in. All right, I still have this in the middle that I need to do, so now you could start working in the middle. All right, let's see what it looks like. So I would like to come around and help you do this. Before we flip it over, I'll take a little tool and I'll write your name, because we all made hearts, so we're gonna need to write our names. So I'll write Mrs. A on mine. Okay, I'll help you write your name. Okay, then I'm gonna take it like this. I'll do this for you. I'm gonna flip it over onto your cardboard, and now we can peel off our paper. Wow, look at that. So if you wanna smooth out maybe just the edge a little bit, if you used more than one coil, which most of us probably will, you can just smooth that out, leave all that part alone. And then we have to let this dry for a few weeks. And then we'll be able to paint it after I fire it in the kiln. All right, then you get to decide, do you want a hole in it? If you want a hole, we're gonna put 2 holes so that we can tie strings through it and hang it. But if you wanna display it flat, we'll leave it flat like this.